Hey, hey, hey. Happy Tuesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome back to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, interestingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everyone. Tonight is Tuesday, January 27th, 2026, and this is live stream 1279. If you are not overly familiar with the show, let me point out, super casual around here, just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop role-playing game news, and then we'll normally take a look at a role-playing release. Every once in a while, we might peek at a board game, might devote the show to a topic related to our hobby, or maybe even do an AMA. But for the most part, we're usually taking peeks at games. And tonight, we're actually going to dive in and take a look at 3 recent issues from the return of Fight On magazine. That's right. The OSR zine is back. It did return, I believe it was 2024, but it's really kind of gotten its legs back under it this past year. We've got 3 issues to look at. We're going to look at issues 15, 16, and 17. And I am also going to share with you a special PDF bundle, which is put together for friends of the Gaming Gang. So people like you, if you want to grab these 3 issues in PDF, you'll be able to save more than 30% off. So that link is in the show notes. I'll talk about the show notes in just a bit. Anyway, if, once again, you're not familiar with the show, we're just hanging out. We're having fun. We are certainly not engaged in rocket surgery by any stretch of the imagination. Now just, kind of trying to have a laugh, which these days is a little bit harder than it has in the past. I know people freak out. They're like, Jeff, you get political. I think I've gotten political like 10 times on over 1,200 live streams, and I am not going to get political. But I will say, I think not wanting American citizens to be murdered in the streets is more of a moral thing than a political thing. That's all I'm going to say about that. Anyway, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit gaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And then, of course, because this is a live show, there is chat available. Now, you must be a subscriber for at least 60 minutes before you can take part in chat. So as long as you check that box off and you want to say howdy, maybe get a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my very best to respond. First out the gate tonight is Keith Hulhu, our good friend of the show. The Madman is also with us, as is Semper Buffo, Mike, Kathy Evans, Ignatius from Fight On Publishing is also hanging out in chat with us. I have to say, I always thought it was Fight On Publications. And then I noticed, no, it's Fight On Publishing. I'm like, oh, okay. Glad I caught that before going live on the show. Kevin R. Smith is with us, as is Spelling Mistake. And I think I have said hello to everyone except very possibly the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D, another of our chat moderators alongside the Madman, who might be lurking in the shadows this evening. Might see a glimpse of the glittery banhammer. It's usually how people see it. Anyway, Higzilla is with us. Says, better than dead on the show. No idea what that's supposed to mean. Let's see. Russell Higgins has popped on into chat. Very nice. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Anyway, let's jump on into the news because I've got quite a bit. And then we have 3 issues to dive on into. So we should have a pretty full plate this evening. Yummy. The index card role-playing game Power Tools, the Game Mastery book, is now available in print and PDF from Runehammer Games. Here's what I know. For 7 years, ICRPG fans everywhere have asked for a Game Mastery book that included everything from encounter building to room design to monster creation and more tables. The time has finally come. This 130-page book in a huge 8x11 format, paperback or hardcover, includes everything you need to totally unlock the design behind ICRPG. Every monster ability, every roll table, rollable dungeons, people, and so much more in one easy-to-read, quick-to-reference book ICRPG GMs simply must have. This book assures you, actually, I should say, this book assumes you, English, Jeff. It's only been a few days since I did a live show. Just seems like whenever I have a period of like 3 or 4 days without shooting videos, it's like, it doesn't help that it's really cold down here in the Duct Tape Studios this evening. Anyway, this book assumes, you know what happens when you assume. The mighty Game Master, beacon of the hobby, has a total mastery of index card RPG and its myriad facets, as well as any number of other tabletop gaming systems and styles. This book does not include core rules. It is free of such things. A lean, mean game mastering machine powered by you, the keeper of secrets and dispenser of doom. The 130-page hardcover with PDF can be had over at Drive-Thru RPG for $40. If you want to grab the softcover, it's $35. Might as well go hardcover for $5 more. If you want to just grab the PDF, you can do so for $15. Sweet. Good to see some new stuff for Index Card RPG. I'm going to take a guess. This may be the end of the line for the stuff from Runehammer Games for ICRPG, because it seems like this book is giving away all of the secrets involved with this RPG. And I know Runehammer's got other games that are far more recent than ICRPG. But kind of cool to see that we've got the Game Mastery book that has arrived. All right, so Sarah D is with us tonight, as is Paul Higby. Let's see, who else? Tessie Trekkie. I was going to say, I thought I saw someone else popping on in. Yes, Tessie Trekkie is with us tonight. Looks like we got a nice chat off and running already. Moving right along. Currently up for crowdfunding for the Merry Mushmen is Dungeon Inc. Here's the latest. Be a monster. Delve dungeons, slay adventurers, collect your paycheck. Dungeon Inc. is an old-school style reverse dungeon game set within a corporate mega dungeon. This campaign is for the new edition of award-winning French tabletop role-playing game Donjon and Say. I'm sure I mispronounced that. Remastered and augmented by the Merry Mushmen with its original author, Ben Felton. What is Dungeon Inc.? It's a game about monsters working for, well, you guessed it, Dungeon Inc., a corporate organization secretly running the largest mega dungeon in the land. Players are reception hosts tasked with solving client issues, mostly adventurers refusing to die. They are employed by the company secretly operating inside the most famous dungeon in all the land. Each mission sends the hosts into a dungeon level, generally to deal with clients. The organization relies on looting adventurers for income, but some must escape with enough loot to spread the dungeon's legend and attract more clients. Of course, no one can ever know that the dungeon is a deadly tourist trap. Missions are followed by a downtime period where players get to have an office life. They relax, spend their little disposable income or the loot they forgot to hand over, pursue friendships and romantic aspirations, and perhaps investigate the dark deals and inhumane machinations of upper management. A typical Dungeon Inc. campaign starts with a simple mission, but as the hosts gain experience, they become involved in lethal office politics and magic power struggles that lead them to discover some of the company's many secrets. What starts as a Dungeon of the Week episodic series can end up in an epic saga where more than mere survival is at stake. The characters may even have to venture in the bright outside, the dreaded world of the surface, where danger is everywhere. At least, that's what the company keeps saying. There is a short, it's about 3 minutes, Kickstarter video. So let's take a peek.
Welcome to Dungeon Inc. Be a monster. Kill adventurers. Collect your paycheck. The dungeon needs you. Missions are always different. It's not just bashing heads. It's a career. We want you. Join a rewarding and inclusive environment. At Dungeon Inc., we don't care about your species, gender, or background. We welcome everyone, living or dead, into our workforce. Go above and beyond, and you'll become Employee of the Month. Management positions available. Have fun. Work hard. Kill smart. And get rich. At Dungeon Inc., we have over 200 years experience in looting adventures. Join Dungeon Inc. today.
Ooh, a little dig at Wizards of the Coast and that video. Ooh. Oh, a little Poke the Bear. Yeah, we're playing a little Poke the Bear. This Kickstarter is over 1,200% funded. Actually, by now, it might even be beyond 1,300% funded. You can reserve copies of the hardcover rulebook and the softcover mission book, along with the PDFs, for a pledge of approximately $46. You can score the PDFs for a pledge of approximately $23 through February 19th. Expected fulfillment on this is pretty fast. On the Kickstarter, it says that the PDFs will be available in February. So I will have to take a guess. They are good to go. Those files are ready to go hit the printer. So maybe a week or so after this ends. And then the physical fulfillment is slated for this March. How about that? Pretty cool. This looks really interesting, I have to say. Yeah, the Merry Mushmen, they're another company that I don't know, for whatever reason, I just can never get on board with. I don't know. I don't know. Trying to remember, I think they're out of France. Either out of France or the UK. What? Just because every once in a while when I do something that's supposed to be French, I'm like, oh, yes, we are going to play Dungeon Inc. I don't know. Don't know what to tell you. All right. Mike says, oh my, that was a trailer. Paul Bigby said, Dungeon Keeper mixed with paranoia. I dig it. Yeah. One thing I did not dig with that video is all the jerking around and all over the place. It's like, come on. Do you need to have every shot where, the camera's moving across something? I would think that would set some people off. So, with some flashing lights and stuff, I was like, okay. Taco Loco 787 is with us tonight. Welcome aboard. On our next news piece, currently Fanatical is offering a big money-saving offer on over 100 D20 role-playing releases. I've got the deets on the Monsters and Mayhem Mega RPG Bundle Deal. Fanatical is teamed with Mongoose Publishing to bring you the tools to take your adventures and characters to a new level with this whopping 101 RPG book collection. Within this collection, you can snap up a monumental selection of books from Slayer's Guides, Power Classes, the Quintessential series, and so much more, and set out over 4 tiers to suit any budget. Get a one-up against your foes with the Slayer's Guides. These supplements provide in-depth details to offer insights and fresh encounters with your foes. The Quintessential series are supplements providing both players and game masters with all the options to create detailed characters. The Power Classes are designed to easily place new character types into your game. Get your hands on these and so much more. Collect your copy of this library-sized collection of RPG books today. Now, it's important to keep in mind all these products included in this promotion are redeemed through Drive-Thru RPG, and you have to redeem your bundle keys before January 2027. Now, you can jump aboard for as little as $1, or you can go all in for $17.99, and that will allow you to get your hands on all 101 items. These savings will run through March 13th. Now, keep in mind, these were all for D20, and I do understand there was a lot of absolute trash that was released for D20, because there was just such a glut of content that just vomited all over the hobby. I'm not necessarily saying these books, but even having said that, there are 101 PDFs for $18. There's got to be some stuff in here that is very, very useful at your game table. Although, once again, these are all, what, 20 years old, 25 years old, thereabouts. Isn't that about when D20 was a thing? About 20 years ago? You didn't know. So Paul Bigby says, yes, the Merry Mushmen are out of France. Shipping's been excruciating. Perhaps they've got distribution in North America sorted out. Pete Straklich says the Slayer's guides are amazing, still relevant at their table. They love Mongoose Publishing. So Taco Loco said, hey, it's me, Hector Martinez. Yes. More of the YouTube shenanigans with its like the nicknames are like, who, what? Who's that? I don't know. Keithula says they've got a few of the Mongoose 3.5 supplements. Some of them were all right, but some were, yikes. Spelling mistake says there's a lot of bad 5e stuff too. Oh my gosh, yes. Of that, there is absolutely no doubt. There is tons. There's more steaming piles of shit for 5e than any role-playing game ever concocted. Ever. Let's see. Somebody thought. Oh, there you go. Pete Straklich points out the Slayer's Guide to Dragons and the Undead were actually co-written by Gary Gygax. Very nice. Kevin R. Smith said these days there's a ton of AI slop on DM's Guild. Yeah, it's starting to carry over into Drive-Thru RPG too. And you folks already know my policy on AI. I will not share coverage of a product that utilizes AI artwork or was actually written in concert with AI. So yes, whenever I see something that looks kind of interesting on Drive-Thru RPG, I always take a peek, see what are we looking at. And if I see something that says, AI was used, it's like, oh, looked interesting. Bye-bye. And sorry, the excuse where it's like, oh, I'm just a single individual publishing stuff. I don't have, a budget for art. Well, then don't use art. Don't know what to tell you. Or go and spend a little bit of money on a stock art set. Don't know. All right, let's talk about another crowdfunding project because the sequel to The Painted Wasteland, which just had a bundle of holding, I want to say. In fact, it might even still be running now. Regardless, the sequel is currently crowdfunding for Agamemnon Press. Well, I'm using that name all the time now. Hadn't used that in years, and it's like every time I turn around, I'm saying Agamemnon. Just rolls off the tongue. Anyway, here's a skinny on Empire of Bones. Greetings, lost dreamers. You have left the real world far behind you. Welcome to a completely different and altogether horrific nightmare. You are surrounded by the gnashing, biting, and tearing fangs of 1,000 horrid ghouls hungry for flesh. You are lost in the darkest shadows of the Painted Wastelands. If the Painted Wastelands was a dreamland, then Empire of Bones is a nightmare. At long last, Agamemnon Press returns with the giant-sized sequel to the award-winning adventure, The Painted Wastelands. You'll throw your players into the lands of dust with Empire of Bones. This is a jumbo-sized hex crawl adventure that weighs in at twice the size of The Painted Wastelands. Your players can spend an entire campaign exploring 21 areas in the unholy city of Zeb, a sickening and polluted city ruled by necromancers and their mummified politicians. Sound a little like Chicago. Dope! I'm kidding. I love Chicago. I was born and raised there. Zeb also includes 4 dungeons. Your players can then skip town and explore the 36 hexes of gray lands of dust, where they will discover glory and horror in ghoul-infested ruins. There is no video, sadly enough. I would have liked to have been able to share a bit more visually for Empire of Bones. You might recall the Painted Wastelands has a very unique style to it. It's got a very serious Mobius vibe to the proceedings. And I have heard good and bad about the Painted Wasteland. I heard it's really trippy, and that's why some people absolutely love it. Other people are like, it's too trippy. I want my adventuring to be a little more straight up. But still, this looks very cool. And scary, kids, scary. Ignatius says, there's no AI in Fight On. Max Apocalypse has joined us, says, the D20 glut. Such memories. They also mentioned they would prefer extremely primitive scribbles to AI slop. Alrighty. Spelling Mistake says, if you're an indie game designer with no budget, make friends with an indie artist who wants to build your vision with you. That's how we used to do it. Yeah, well, I don't know. People just aren't as social as they once were either. That's something else to keep in mind. Max Apocalypse says, Reese's got by with actual stick figures. All right, moving right along. Let's talk about my final news piece. The latest issue of Interface Red has arrived for Cyberpunk Red. I've got the scoop from Arntel Saurian Games. Night City's voracious, Chumba. It needs more places, more people, more things. More. More. How do you like me? How do you... okay, let's not go there. It's never satisfied, and we know you aren't either. Your campaigns can always use a little something extra to push it right over the edge. That's what Interface Red is all about. In this 5th volume, you'll find a collection of short articles custom crafted to improve your Cyberpunk Red experience. We featured many of these articles on our website as free DLC for you to download to your data storage device of choice, but this is the first time we've collected them into a single book. Plus, we've thrown in a new exclusive article, adding mercenary-level play, military-grade gear, and power armor to your campaign. Volume 5 of Interface Red adds the following new content to your Cyberpunk Red game. Breaking Your Stuff, a robust optional system that expands item damage with durability, maintenance, and malfunctions. Chasing the Rabbit, Roller Derby in the Time of the Red. Explore the history of the sport and bring it into your game with full rules. All About Agents, a complete history of the communicator in everyone's pocket, how to hack them, and the hottest apps to install. Toggle's Temple, a collection of 72 ranged weapons providing the lore and mechanics you need for a Friday night firefight. Did someone say murder? An optional investigation system that enables your campaign to better focus on mysteries and looking for clues. Your best new friend. Cyber Pets, make ample space in your cargo container for a forever turtle, data rabbit, or something more exotic. Scream Sheet Generator, create your own plot points and news articles. A life path for current events and a savior for GMs everywhere. Now we also have 12 Days of Redmas, lore and stats for 12 items that have shown up in previous Cyberpunk Red art. Add them to your game. And Solo of Fortune 2045, a massive mini supplement stuffed full of optional ranged tables, weapons, attachments, ammunition, explosives, machine guns, ACPA, assisted combat power armor, and plenty of solo-focused lore to celebrate the introduction of mercenary-level campaigns to Cyberpunk Red. This 148-page PDF is available right now over at DriveThruRPG for $15. I like Cyberpunk Red. Every time I share a Cyberpunk Red story, news piece, I always got to point out, I really like Cyberpunk Red. I have reviewed the core rulebook, and yes, I have pointed out that it's not exactly the most, how would we put this? Intuitive layout as far as things go. So, but still, awesome game. Really cool. You know, I can't believe how many people don't realize Cyberpunk 2077 is based on R. Telsorian Cyberpunk. There you go. Max Apocalypse says, I thought Jeff was going to go Billy Idol on us, and then he threw us a curve. That's right. Be thankful I didn't start singing Disco Duck. I don't remember that song anyway. All I remember is Disco Duck. So Paul says a live intermission before the normal intermission. Urbanely Insane is joining us tonight. Might be a first-time visit in chat. Welcome aboard. Necrotic Gnome just highlighted a third-party supplement for Dolmenwood called Knights of the Wood that has an AI version and a non-AI edition. Not sure how to feel about that. That's weird. I don't know why they would do something like that. Captain Infinity Time Travel Police is also joining us, as is Agile Monk, who is listening in. Very cool. All right, that is it for the news tonight. Of course, I did mention Drive-Thru RPG a few times. Keep in mind, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to stop by Drive-Thru RPG, Storyteller's Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, Wargame Vault, any of the multitude of One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get 5% of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really go a long way to keeping thegaminggang.com around month to month. If you like the video, by all means, give it a quick thumbs up. If you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, there are a couple of other ways that you can support the outlet. First, by making a one-time donation by way of PayPal. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Oh, there's no problem keeping this cold down here. Or become a monthly member of our Patreon. You will find links down in the show notes. Also down in those show notes, you're going to find an invite link to our Discord server. Absolutely free to sign up. So be sure to hang with the gang over on Discord. Also tonight in those show notes, you will find a special link for a specially priced bundle of issues 15, 16, and 17 of Fight On, which is what we're going to be taking a peek at in just a few moments. You can save over 30% on those 3 issues in a bundle in PDF over at Drive-Thru RPG. Very nice. Very nice. All right. So we got a big show still ahead. We got 3 jam-packed issues of Fight On to take a peek at. So really, gotta say, nothing really cooking, nothing too exciting. I will say that I am trying to get the files from the Thursday morning interviews at Page because they still haven't been posted. So you figure it's almost 2 weeks now, and the files are on the camera, and so, and it's sort of like, I know one of the interviews is with Kelsey Dion from the Arcane Library, and we talk Shadow Dark. So anyway, I'm trying to get those files. I am considering just downloading the interviews that I did from the page website and trying to do some color correction on them and maybe try to fix the audio because the audio is very tinny. So I don't know. I feel bad because the people I did interviews with, they deserve. In fact, I interviewed Ignatius, who's with us right now, and we talked Fight On. Thankfully, that was part of a live stream, so that's out there. But I feel bad because the people I interviewed deserve more views than they're getting. So kicking that around. Plus, it's just blocks. So there's no info about who's being interviewed or anything like that. It's just like more Saturday morning at Page. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Anyway. So, yes. So Ignatius Umalau is pointing out that that bundle is going to run for a week. So Ignatius says, that's weird. They posted almost all the others. Right, because those were live. They couldn't get the live stream going Thursday morning when I had the first shift. So rather than just staying around doing nothing, we just shot the interviews on, on the camera, on the action camera that was there. So, and it was basically, we were told, well, we'll pull the files out, we'll put it up. So anyway, so those first, I think if I remember right, we did 3 interviews Thursday morning. So those 3 interviews have not seen the light of day. So, like I said, I'm considering looking at pulling because I can do it, pulling the video from YouTube, but yeah, it's only 720p, and then there's a lot of pixelization that goes on. I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily want to be tarred with that brush. Because, yeah, I do my best to have pretty decent quality as far as video and sound and things like that. There isn't anything I can do about my voice. Sorry. There isn't anything I can do about my voice. Sorry. We'll see what happens. We shall see what happens. All right, so we're going to dive on in. We're going to take a look at the 3 issues of Fight On magazine since the return of Fight On in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission. Rise and stretch time. Time to refresh yourself and visit our snack bar. Got a yen for hot popcorn? Your favorite soft drinks are sparkling cold. The juicy Frank sizzling hot. There's delicious coffee, freshly brewed, and all kinds of ice cream and candy to tempt you. Showtime will be announced loud and clear to get you back to your car in time. So stretch your legs. Come to the snack bar now.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
May.
May who?
Maybe you could use some artificial ingredients in bars from Mars.
Artificial? Never! Artificial is a nasty word at Mars.
Everything's for real in bars from Mars. Milky Way bars, for instance, are made the Milky Way with gallons and gallons of fresh whole-grade A milk, fluffy whites from fresh eggs, not powdered ones, and real milk chocolate, the world's finest. That's why every bite's a luscious, chewy treat. Milky Way gives you real satisfaction because there's nothing artificial in it. Everything's for real in bars from Mars. The best candy on Earth comes from Mars.
You win a new car or a case of Wilkins Instant Coffee.
I'll take the Wilkins coffee.
We'll never get rid of that car.
What's the greatest jet prop airliner ever designed? Remco's Flying Fox, with real motor-driven jet prop engines. The giant cockpit with dual controls has room in it for 2 kids to control every action of the plane. In the air above the cockpit roars the mighty Flying Fox airliner. The engines are revved up separately from low to high speed. Hear that powerful jet sound get louder and louder as you rev her up. While flying, you retract the landing gear. You yourself make the plane climb, bank, dive, and turn in flight, while cockpit instruments keep you on course. For night flying, switch on the red and green wing lights and blink them. Kids, fly Remco's Flying Fox jet prop airliner for the greatest thrill of your lifetime. Only $14.98. Remember, every boy wants a Remco toy, and so do girls.
Creature of unholy vengeance, born in the heart of a man unjustly condemned to death.
In death I shall be stronger than you in life. I will come back from hell and make you pay for your crimes.
The tree monster. Oh, now, Norgu, I know about cannibalistic flowers, but this tree monster is utterly unbelievable.
Dr. Mason, you are a wise lady. But there are many things even the wisest of us do not know.
Land of superstition, terror, and violent hatred. Where beneath the surface of the Polynesian islands, the earth gives grotesque and terrible birth to a monstrous creature, sworn to kill and torture and destroy.
I beg you, pull up the root so it will die before it murders everyone.
You know what? I have an eerie feeling that this thing knows what we're saying.
Pulse beat is almost human.
Don't be stingy at a time like this, dearie.
Relentlessly, the baranga pursues its prey. Impervious to destruction by mortal hands, ravaging the world in its madness.
We've got to find her. Let's go back. Come on.
Doc, I never saw anything like this. Those bullets bounce off like BB shot on a stone wall.
We hope you're enjoying your visit here this evening. Now, on with the show.
From hell it came. I remember that movie being on Channel 32 in the Chicago area, WFLD, which was a UHF channel back in the day. Now it's the Fox affiliate in Chicago. I don't recall it having that title, though. I don't remember it being called From Hell It Came. And I love how it's like, you know, oh, it's a tree demon, but fire can't hurt it. Okay, I understand the bullets. Because you wouldn't shoot a tree. But yeah, I don't know. I think the flames might work. All right, so let's see. Danny W. Gable has joined us tonight. Thanks for returning. So this evening, we're going to dive on in. We are going to take first looks at Fight On issues 15, 16, and 17 from Fight On Publishing. The softcover of issue 15 with PDF can be had over at DriveThruRPG for $12.99. Issues 16 and 17 with PDFs are each $13.99. If you want to get the PDFs alone, you can do so for $4.99 each. But we do have a special limited time bundle. It's going to be a week. It's going to run over at TTRPG. I already have the link to it down in the show notes. You'll be able to get the bundle of these 3 issues in PDF for $9.99. And yes, Ignatius Umalau is with us. Hopefully I remembered how to pronounce the last name. Is with us if you have any questions. So having said all that, let's swing on over to the other camera because here is Fight On issue 15, spring 2024. So if you're not familiar with Fight On, it's a magazine that came out, a zine, essentially, which came out right when the OSR was kind of gaining speed, kind of building up steam. And a lot of folks out there feel that Fight On really provided a lot of impetus to the old school movement. So I interviewed Ignatius at Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo 3. And we talked a little bit about Fight On. And I had always heard from people that there were some particular issues from the original run that you needed to have because the adventures were fantastic and so forth. So anyway, Agile Monk with a super chat, $9.99. Well, I don't need to get the bundle, Agile Monk. I already have the issues. So Ignatius says that they helped launch the OSR. All right, so first of all, let's take a peek at the artwork on the back. Ta-da. Oh, that's obviously AI. Look at that. That's AI. More like AL. Somebody named L drew it. All right, so this issue is dedicated to J. Eric Holmes. So, of course, keep in mind, we are not going to take a look at each and every page of each issue, but I do want to give you a really good feel what you're going to find inside. It's also important that you keep in mind that I have been provided these issues from Fight On Publishing, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this first look with you. All right, so our table of contents looks like we got a lot of stuff going on here. And it's also probably important to note that, to my knowledge, because I have not taken a peek at these issues, this is actually our first look, that this is kind of all over the old school Renaissance. So here it's like 10 ways to Holmesify your game. But I also believe that we'll find articles about like chainmail, or articles about OD&D or Basic Expert. So this isn't like, say, like an old school essentials zine. So this isn't a house organ for any particular rule set. So we got special ability charts for arcane classes. That's a pretty cool map right there. I guess that's up to the game master to key that. So I understand we'll have new rules, we'll have new classes, we'll have new races or species or kindred or kin or whatever you want to consider them. Ignatius says, yeah, they do dedications. Holmes for 15. Tramp, I assume he means Dave Trampier. Isn't that how his last name's pronounced? And DCS 3 for 17. All right. Very cool. So yes, I guess there is a Holmes edition theme running through. So we got gremlins, troublesome teleporters. Gremlins are small, annoying, grumbly, ugly creatures. You could say the same about me. Larger than kobolds, but smaller than goblins with dull green skin and large ears. They can advance as thieves in race and class systems, otherwise according to the tables below. The great advantage gremlins have over other characters is their natural ability to teleport and tear aircraft apart. So it looks like we've got a max level 8 on the gremlins. And just make sure you don't feed them after midnight and don't get them wet. Because then they'll go to the airport and start getting on flights with the Shatner tearing his plane apart. So we also have adventures, I do believe. The catacombs under Old Samura. So yeah, so this is an adventure for 3 to 6 characters of levels 1 to 3. There are some places in the dungeon that will be too deadly for them. However, they have to know when to run to return another day. Wait a second. Are you trying to tell me that these encounters aren't balanced? What the? What kind of fantasy role-playing adventure is this? So we got our map key. That's pretty cool artwork. Actually, so far, this artwork is, pretty reminiscent of, AD&D, Basic Expert. I seem to recall the artwork in OD&D there wasn't a lot and it wasn't very good. Max Apocalypse says, Jeff gives us the United Field Theory of cinematic gremlins that we didn't know we needed. Yeah, for the most part, yeah. Ignatius says, no hand holding, no bubble wrap. Oh, yes. You know what? This is another company that I would love to get on board with. I'm trying to remember the name that they have. I think, if I remember right, I think the main author is Hungarian. I think he's out of Hungary. Beyond Formal Out. Another, really, really well regarded. I think it's what, the Hungarian D20 Society or something like that. Bringing it all back homes. So, looks like this might be some people giving tribute, maybe. There we go, Blue Home, which is the retro clone for Holmes Edition. Maps from the Maze of Peril. Something I did notice just by picking up the 3 issues here, they do have higher page counts as we go. So this has the lowest page count, but I still think it's like 120, 130. And then issue 16 is a little bit longer. 17 is a little bit longer than that. So here we've got, what's our adventure here? Damn, it's cold down here. I am really surprised there is not condensation right now. Seriously. The tip of my nose is really cold. My fingers are getting cold. I have to laugh because when the intermission was playing, I was kind of stamping my feet down here. Yeah, we're in the midst of this, this Arctic chill. So it's the Silken Sea, Spidery Spelunking for 4 to 6 players, levels 3 to 6 by Motley Dice. So it's an abandoned church And as we could already tell from the previous page I just flipped back from, there is spiders also right there in the blurb. So yes, Paul Bigby points out that EMDT, absolute luminary and pillar of the OSR, Castle Zintillan, I think that's how it's pronounced. I'm not positive. I know what you're talking about, though, is a supreme piece of work. Yeah, I sadly have never had an opportunity to check it out. But you know what? I don't know how much of gosh, I'm trying to remember the author's name. But I think most of his releases are like PDF. So that's why because the thing is, my correspondents who tackle PDFs aren't into old school. They're completely like 5e Pathfinder, Starfinder sorts. And you probably already know I do not do reviews of PDFs. There are a good number of people who do. It's just, I didn't invest in this video equipment so I could sit there and do PDFs. Plus, I find just looking at images from a PDF to be just kind of boring. I like, especially when I'm doing first looks, I like to do them live, get to riff with people in chat. This looks cool. I like the little spider priest. Spider priest, spider priest. The wizard's satchel, protection from elements. I'll tell you what, there you go. It's Gabor Lux. That's the Hungarian gentleman. Victory or death. Can role-playing games be played well, and can they be played badly? Can you win or lose them? Contrary to popular opinion, the answer is definitely yes. Fortunately, like other games, it is not complicated to learn winning. Unfortunately, like other games, some people never learn, even at their own expense. Following advice may be of help. Nice. Mega Dungeon Workshop Extravaganza. Is this a solo? Oh, maybe not. No, it's yeah, so isn't that Gabor Lux's like setting or city or town or something like that? I could have sworn. Hey, Stephanie Macalay's with us tonight. I know I butchered the last name again. Good to see ya. Troy Cornelson's with us. I don't think I said hello to Troy. Welcome aboard. Stephanie asks, what's my thoughts on Gorgon issue 1? I haven't seen it, to be very honest. So I don't have any opinion. Tell you what, my opinion of Fight On so far is I am impressed. I'll tell you what, this kind of feels like, in some ways, is sort of like the old school fanzines that we would see way back in the day, where it was sort of like everything and the kitchen sink. So some stuff was like really cool. Now, I'm not saying that some of this is like, ugh, but I like how it's, I don't want to say all over the place, but it's very wide ranging. So as Ignatius has pointed out, there are 4 adventures in each issue. And then, of course, we've got other goodies there. Oh, there's Jeff the Shark. I don't understand what the deal is with Marvel Comics and that character. I asked my brother because, he's the comic guy. And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, they're always doing like, limited series with the shark. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Oh, look, there's a bubbling stench. Max Apocalypse says, tell Lee it jumped right out at me. It's coming right at us. All right. Henchmen are us. Polearm caddies. Only a witless warrior goes into battle without the right tool for the job. The Zweihander, the main gauche, the composite longbow all have their proper applications, but for maximum midden mayhem, I'm not familiar with that word. It is essential for the cautious champion to select the right polearm for their chosen foe. Just as you don't open a can of Manwich with a corkscrew or the champagne of beers with a can opener. Okay. I suppose you could open Miller. You don't bring a Beckle Corbin to a beholder brawl. All right, Gary Gygax would have loved this article. Oh, look, there. Oh, I mentioned chainmail. There's a chainmail scenario here. Gosh, I used to have chainmail way back in the day. Sadly, like many of my role-playing game and board game items that I had in the past, disappeared in the middle of a move somewhere, and I have moved many, many times. All right, so it looks like we're going to wrap up with some comics. What? No Phineas Fingers? Right, so that's Fight On, issue 15. Let's take a look at 16. Little thicker, a little more content in here. There's the an homage to the Rakshasa from the Monster Manual. There you go. So it is dedicated to David Trampier. So we've got our editor's corner. For Creepy Crawlies, Battlelands Behemoth. Artifacts, adjuncts, and oddments. It's kind of a cool map there. There you go, Arduin. If I remember right, now this is not something I've seen. I haven't seen it up close and personal. Isn't Arduin kind of a almost, it wasn't necessarily a fanzine, but it was kind of almost like optional rules for D&D, and they were like all over the place. Like some stuff was like really cool, and some stuff was like, what the hell is that? I could have swore. I might be wrong. That it might be something else I'm thinking of. So I do notice this issue has a little more advertising in it, which is cool. So we've got some gems there. Our Grognard's Grimoire. Animate trousers. Oh, okay. Animating trousers. Bitter regret. Finger of doubt. When the finger of doubt is jammed into their chest, priests to struggle to maintain their faith for 1d6 turns. Any attempt at casting a spell or turning undead during this time requires a successful save versus magic, or their doubt prevents them from accessing divine power. This is, it's like we got another adventure here. The Caverns of Arcane Silk. I wonder if we got some spiders in this. Because I know Elliot would be racing on to play this. If you are not familiar with my best friend, Elliot Miller, he despises spiders. So, kind of cool. 21 lessons learned after running 100 sessions. So the author ran 100 sessions of the Conquering the Barbarian Atlantis. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Altanis campaign. Ah, look at this. Titan. That's cool. We got some more old Samora. This is level 2, the ghoul layer. So as far as the locations, the keyed locations, it looks like we're going with kind of a traditional presentation. So we're not looking at like old school essentials where we usually have stuff that's like, okay, this is obviously what you see. These are other things like sounds or, senses. So as an example, we have the wine cellar, the fortune teller's palazzo, a cool cellar room well stocked with high quality provisions in barrels, cured meats hanging from the ceiling, and wine bottles in racks on the walls. Unlit sconces line the walls. The stair in the northwest corner leads to a locked wooden door. So that right there, that's pretty much telling us what the player characters would see for the most part. It's like there's also a secret door. There's a secret bath. Ooh. All right, we got a new class, the Scout. So this is for the basic fantasy role-playing game. There you go. Good old basic fantasy. And look, an ad for basic fantasy. How about that? I tell people all the time, if they're, talking about how, wow, I'm getting priced out of the hobby and all these other things, I always tell people, if you want an old school fantasy role-playing game that's not going to cost you a single solitary cent, go get basic fantasy. And if you want to get the books, they're, at cost. So they don't really run you, a whole hell of a lot. So, and of course, all the PDFs, all that stuff is available absolutely free at the Basic Fantasy website. I think, not to jump on a soapbox here. Hey, there's Gabor Lux again. I think that there are too many people out there who confuse not being able to afford the latest hotness with being priced out of the hobby. Hell yeah, man. I'd like to drive a Porsche, but you know what? Ain't in my budget. I don't know what to tell you. So, on one hand, I can understand, gaming should be for the public, right? So it should be aimed at, just about anybody can jump aboard and play. And yeah, a $60 book that's all of 120 pages, that's pricey. That is pricey. And I can see people feeling like I'm getting priced out of the hobby, but there's a lot to this hobby that doesn't cost anything. You're just not going to be sitting there playing new Dungeons and Dragons. So let's see. Anthony Simone has popped on in, said they picked up some Fight On at Page. Hey, that's where I got mine. Didn't get enough time hanging with Jeff or Ignatius, though. I have to say, it was funny. I was racing to go get, trying to remember who, it may have been Ignatius. I forgot to grab the wireless mic from him after the interview. And we had the next interview, and I was like, oh, man, I got to go find him. And luckily, he had mentioned he was going back to the booth. Or it was somebody else. Like I said, I don't remember who it was. And then, of course, as I'm trying to find the booth, somebody comes up and they're like, "Hey, Jeff." And I was like, of course. Of course somebody's going to come up when I'm pressed for time trying to find the person with the mic. Anyway, but yeah, it was kind of funny. I felt like, I was like, oh. I was like, you know, sometimes I like, especially if I'm like racing through someplace, just like I had somebody stop me at the airport. And they were with their family and they were talking about how they enjoy the show. And I guess the gentleman's daughter watched the show. So I'm like, oh, there we go. There go the F-bombs, everybody. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. But, you know, sometimes I feel like, oh, man, did I give them enough time? I mean, they did come up and say hello. And I know a lot of people, when they see me at a convention, I'm usually talking to somebody. Like I'll be walking with Elliot, talking to him, or like my nephew or whatever. And they don't tend to come up because they don't want to interrupt. But I mean, I welcome anybody coming and saying hi. I'm just shocked people recognize me. All right. So it looks like there's quite a bit in this issue. So we have magic mouths. So you roll a 20-sided die on that. We've got the dream couches. Oh, listen to this. So this is Elric. And for decades, I pronounced it Meldabane. And I realized maybe it was about 2 years ago, I was listening to an audiobook and it's Melnibone. I was like, I would never in a million years have thought it was Elric of Melnibone. All right. So these are the dream couches. Darkness beneath the snow throne. That's for 8th level characters. There's like quite a bit to that map there. Oh, looks like that's pretty long as well. Tales of Tramp and TSR. I remember there were people who didn't care for Dave Trampier's artwork. I always liked it. Just like Jeff D. I got to meet Jeff D. at Page. In fact, he was with us when we got picked up at the airport. So he was in the car with us. And, you know, I remember there were people who didn't care for Jeff D.'s artwork. And I was like, well, every artist isn't going to be exactly the same. This isn't, let's draw Dungeons and Dragons stuff the Marvel way. So Max Apocalypse says Terry Brooks pronounces Shannara wrong too. All right. So let's see. Winners are in. There was a contest. Knights and Knaves, Wormy in the gang. There we go. That is a real blast from the past. Do we actually have? I'll be damned. They're NPCs. That's cool. 7 gates and 50 dog-faced men. Now, I'm sure not every single item in each issue is going to knock it out of the park, but I'm telling you right now, there looks like each issue is going to have a lot of things that you can use at your game table, even if some of it is just inspiration for your adventures. So we've got our comics. Oh, that's pretty cool. I like that artwork there. All right, last one. So here's something I noticed. I thought was kind of funny. This is issue 16, winter 2025. This is issue 17, fall 2025. It's like, wait, what? It's like, wait a second. Hang on. I'm going to take a guess. It's kind of an oops. So let's take a look at the artwork on the back here. Oh, okay. So it looks like we've got, we have it. So it goes that way. So we've got somebody's region map here. There you go. A little homage to the Ifrit. Max Apocalypse says that cover is, as the kids say, fire. All right. So this is David Sutherland. This is dedicated to David. Got our table of contents. It does also seem like we do have some through lines in each issue, like we've seen the two adventures that are in the same setting. I'm taking a guess we probably have more than just that. Said the map was in a box for 40 years. Or was it the artwork here? Okay, isn't that Mullen art? So we have the design studio, reptiles and samurai. Martial stances, adventuring assault attitudes. One of the many things that stick in my craw about certain modern brand name RPGs. Oh, preach! Is the emphasis on free-play character customization. You have to make lots of choices, many perplexing to newcomers, before anything happens in the game. The idea of martial stances was born out of this frustration. It seemed like things would be a lot more interesting if players could make the meaningful choices during play instead. It also gave some variety to fighter class characters beyond equipment and ability scores. Oh, here you go. Getting a shout out to Basic Fantasy again. Yeah, there you go. Here we've got our Grognard's Grimoire again. The Knights and Knaves. So I guess Knights and Knaves are NPCs. Or characters, basically. New Kindred for Tunnels and Trolls. Well, how about that? The Sendak. Now we have an Osric adventure for 4 to 7 characters, levels 6 to 8. It is Return of the Ancients. And it features dinosaurs. Everybody loves dinosaurs. Looks like it's got a bit of heft to it as well. Sharp-edged retro dice. But like you're going to cut yourself with it? Max Apocalypse says, I love this as a multi-system mag. And for the most part, all of the systems, except, okay, Tunnels and Trolls is quite a bit different mechanically in many ways than D&D, AD&D, BX, stuff like that. But I'm sure it wouldn't take a whole lot of time and energy to convert it over to an old school role-playing game or a retro clone. Spiders, spiders, spiders. Here's an article for Elliot again. spider venoms. I bust Elliot's chops all the time. At least once a year, I have to ask him if he has gotten around to watching Arachnophobia. He's like, are you kidding? Ignatius said they had a couple of Bushido articles, not for a while, but they would take more. Yeah, I always like Bushido. That is a role-playing game that has a nice soft spot within my heart. We have more gems. Bunch of tables there. Hyperborea. So we have black powder firearms and gun-toting mercenaries. So it appears that we're looking at still a medieval period. So this isn't like a modern article. Quite a bit to it as well. Talking about flintlocks, matchlocks, and wheel locks, which are all quite different. Is this a hex crawl? Looks like it might be. The Eshkam district. Yep, it is. Or, well, it's not necessarily maybe a hex crawl, but it's a hex map with key locales. There you go, Osric 3.0. We've been talking about that. We have got the player's book and the game master's book are both out now. And they are pay what you want in PDF at DriveThruRPG. So very cool. If our constant viewer isn't with us tonight, because this would be something which would be right up their alley. All right, who's going to be the first person to tell me who that is? Any of our regulars in chat know who I'm talking about? Portal Fantasy Protagonists. Rules for Fantasy Earthlings. Says Gary Gygax's now famous Appendix N contains a number of stories featuring protagonists who find themselves whisked away, usually by mysterious means, from their comparatively comfortable surroundings here on Earth to an alien realm of swords and sorcery. How will such fish out of water heroes survive, let alone thrive, in their strange new circumstances? How will they find their way back, assuming they wish to? From Edgar Rice Burroughs' John Carter of Mars to Andre Norton's Witch World to Paul Anderson's 3 Hearts and 3 Lions, Earthling heroes abound. Heck, I vaguely recall a whole group of them headlined a certain Saturday morning cartoon on CBS circa 1983. You know, one of those transported from Earth to a fantasy world that I really liked was the trying to remember. I think the first book is Wayfarers of Coromand, and the second book is Starfarers of Coromand, and it's about a crew of it's an armored personnel carrier in Vietnam gets dragged into this fantasy world. It was really good stuff. If I remember right, I think it was Brian Daly who wrote it. And they actually had an audiobook. I think it might have only been for the first book. And it was a really old audiobook. And it was just I guess for the time it was recorded, it was fine. But it was pretty bland, pretty kind of lifeless. And I was like, damn it. Yep, there you go. Ignatius says, yes, it was Brian Daly. That's what I thought. So we've got another adventure here. It's like it's taking place on an island. Looks like this is another adventure that takes up quite a bit of page count. Very nice. It's got Memories of Dave Sutherland. Yeah, sorry. This is a game I won't promote. I got reasons, ladies and gents. So, and those of you who know anything about it, I think you'll know why. Anyway. But, oh, look, we got another chainmail battle, and this is it's on Fomohot. That's kind of wild. All right. So then we've got the new forces for chainmail. Got some horse archers, scouts, infantry. And on to our comics, although we have a random NPC name generator. All right. Final couple of pages. There you go. A lot of cool, kind of some artwork I noticed has a little homage to it, but a lot of cool line art that would have felt right at home in just about anything from the late 1970s throughout the 80s with role-playing games. Pretty sweet. Very nice. All right. So that was issue 17. We took a peek at issue 16 as well as issue 15. Once again, if you take a peek in the show notes, you will find a special link to Drive-Thru RPG. It is for a 3-issue bundle. It features these 3 issues in PDF. Normally, it would be, $14.97. You can get all 3 together as a bundle for $9.99. That is a special for viewers of the Gaming Gang Dispatch. So pretty sweet, pretty nice. These look really cool. I will actually share a review of Fight On. I think I'll probably review each issue separately. Maybe do like a 10-minute review, right? So they won't be, longer, 20, 25-minute reviews, but still, because I don't want to review them as a whole here, simply because each issue looks very, very different. Same approach, but content very, very different. All right. So once again, if you want to get these in print, issue 15 is $12.99. That includes the PDF issues 16 and 17 are $13.99 also, including the PDFs. And if you want, just grab the PDFs, score that bundle. So very nice. Very cool. All right. So it's getting to the point I'm about ready to start breaking down some wooden stuff down here. Starting a fire. It is cold. Anywho. So the rest of the week. Tomorrow, we are going to take a peek at the brand new Tales of the Valiant Player's Guide 2 from my friends over at Cobalt Press. On Thursday, we'll be taking a peek at Monstrous Menagerie 2, Hordes and Heroes from EN Publishing. Week from tonight, we're going to take a look at Dark Visions from RPG Ramblings. I got some stuff from RPG Ramblings we're going to start taking a peek at. So very nice. Very nice. If you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, tip of the cap to you, because not only were you keeping me company, but you're also keeping each other company while I'm sharing the news or flipping through a zine or book or cracking open a board game box. So thank you kindly for doing that. But then, of course, I know a lot of folks out there, they don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you for taking time out to watch any of the over 2,300 videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for a whole lot of news and reviews that you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. If you like the video, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell because it's supposed to notify you not only when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It's supposed to also let you know when I share other videos, such as my recent review of the 2300 AD box set from Mongoose Publishing. If you missed it, check it out. So I like 2300 AD. I would have liked to see it as a standalone, not where you need to have the Traveler core book for the rules and character creation and stuff like that. But all in all, pretty nice. Check out the review. All righty. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thank you very much for watching. And until I see you next time, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.